don't know, Amber, maybe if you weren't hitting him, you wouldn't have to go to couples therapy, but that's just me. Grill her about that turd. I can't, dude. That's probably one of the most disgusting things that I've heard through this whole case. So this is a pre-recorded video of Dr. Laurel Anderson's deposition. Why am I salivating? Penny! Judge Penny! Judge Penny, ex-Marine. Since it's a pre-recorded video, it's her deposition. Somebody's asking her questions, and this is just being played for, you know, the court, basically. So there's not going to be any objections or anything in here. Well, maybe.
And then it's a conceptualization of what's actually going on and an effort to make intervention that leads to change.
Do you recognize what this document is?
Yes.
What is it?
This is my ledger for tracking sessions that I use for invoice billing.
And did this ledger come out of your files?
Yes.
And you keep this document in the ordinary course of business?
Absolutely.
Bro, she looked like if I was 45, when like my husband and I weren't doing well, she looks like she could fix our sex life.
At the top, what are the two names that it says there?
Ann Henry and Joey Davis.
And Ann Henry's Amber Heard.
She's looking with a critical eye.
And Joey Davis is Johnny Depp. On October 1st, 2015, Mr. Depp and Amber Heard came in for couples counseling for 3.5 hours.
Green screen?
Yes. Whether they were in for the full 3.5 or not, I don't know. But that was the that was when the session started, and they came in when they came in and not together. And it took 3.5 hours.
She's probably saying that one person was late.
Mr. Depp and Amber Heard did not come in together?
I don't believe that they did.
You saw Amber on October 6th, 2015 for 2.33 hours, correct?
Yes.
2.33 hours.
What is the next
3 hours. Amber came in for 3. I can't talk about my feelings for 3, and I could talk. Actually, some would say I don't know how to shut the fuck up. But the 3 hours, she must have just been in there venting about Johnny. Can you imagine getting paid thousands of dollars just to listen to people's relationship problems?
Again, it may not have been face-to-face for the full 3.5, but it was being at the beginning of the session, waiting for him, his coming in with the entourage.
Why is she kind of bad? She is kind of bad.
Getting to work. So yes, the first 3 sessions were all in person.
And then what does it say under for the next row? And 14 row.
This lady is so funny to me. I don't know why. Like, am I tripping, or is she like very quirky? Like, she's kind of bad, but like, why are you leaning in that much? Also, is this a green screen? Just some of her manners is really funny. Why is she doing that?
Couple.
The lip thing.
3 hours.
2015, Amber Heard and Mr. Depp saw you for couple session.
Yes.
There's a couple session on October 14th
She back
for
to
3
back.
hours. Is that right?
10/14, there's a couple session. On 10/21, there's a couple session where someone walked out for 2 hours. On 10/24, Miss Heard was there, did a phone session for 1.5.
She did a phone session.
And on the 10/24 row,
dude,
next to the 2 hours.
I don't know why her posture has like some power. I want to like mimic this. Hold on. It's close enough? I thought it was pretty good. I'll work on it.
It says W out, correct?
It's 10/21.
In the 10/21 row.
She looks like she's always looking with a critical eye.
For me, that's walk out.
And do you recall who walked out of that meeting?
I have tried to, and I don't, because each threatened and stood up, and I'm not positive who finally did the walkout.
Probably Johnny, because he always tries to get away from Amber.
What's it indicating on the row for 11/12/2015?
Couple session showed 1.5 hours.
And then on 12/17, what does that show?
Amber alone showed 2.25 hours.
Based on this ledger, you saw Amber and Mr. Depp for 4 couple sessions?
That's Right.
That's it?
Dr. Anderson, I'm showing you it's been marked as Anderson.
Okay. They needed more. They certainly needed more. Okay. You know, so many people go to like couples counseling, or really like it's like a communication class essentially. They go towards the end of their relationship when it's on the rocks, and it's usually the woman that says, "We need to go." When in reality, once you realize that you can't communicate with your partner because of your past traumas, it's actually not a bad idea to get a third party person to teach you how to properly communicate. Some people just don't know how. And then when you meet somebody that has a different background than you might love them very, very much, but you can't talk, right? So like them only doing 4 sessions where Amber's just like calling her and complaining about Johnny, it's not going to do anything. This was the Johnny Depp Dior ad. They did this in 2021. Like Dior did not give up. Look at it. Look at it. It's Johnny. It's Johnny. I'm fangirling. Look, I took a side. I did. I love Dior. I'm only buying Dior from now on. Can't afford it. And he actually plays. Savage. Sorry, Savage. Oh, it's
In the wilderness, fearless and human. Sauvage, the new elixir. Dior.
I thought it was a men's cologne, but this is perfume. This is for me? We'll sniff it later. Okay, back to this.
Objection.
Oh my God, we're getting to some emails. I'm going to shut up.
397.
Laurel, my closest friend Amber, on copy, wants to come see you. Alone first, and then with her husband Johnny. We'll leave it to you to arrange a time. Love you both. I wasn't aware that's how couples therapy works. Amber gets to come in and basically say her side. If you're going to do individual sessions with a couples counselor, the counselor should do 1 session with one party and then 1 session with the other individual and then a group session, like a longer group session to discuss afterwards. Not Amber gets in first and then, come on. Please just ask her to leave me a message and phone number. Hope your life is going well. I don't know, Amber, maybe if you weren't hitting him, you wouldn't have to go to couples therapy, but that's just me.
On September 27th, 2015, you received an email from Amber Heard, correct?
Yes.
Oh my God, spill the emails.
And
What
Amber
if she
wrote, "Hi,
rants
Laurel,
about what?
Johnny and I are back in town and would love to."
Y'all just see Amber look to God for a minute there?
Yeah, no, you're on your own, bitch.
And Amber wrote, "Hi, Laurel, Johnny and I are back in town and would love to know if you have any availability to see us this week. Please let me know. Thanks." You received that email from Amber Heard?
Yes.
You know, it's a slow period, so let me just interject a little more Amber Heard information that I got recently. I wanted to share with you guys. A couple years ago, Amber had a girlfriend, and one day there was an officer that witnessed an altercation and basically stopped them for Amber attacking her ex-wife. And later, Amber went on this whole tirade saying that cop was sexist. She hated us because we were a lesbian couple. This is misogynistic. This is messed up. Actually, what happened was the officer happened to be a lesbian woman that recognized domestic assault within a lesbian couple. And so she called it out. And Amber was charged for it, but later got it scrubbed off of her record. So crazy to me that Amber has a record of domestic violence against another partner just in the past 5 years prior to this, but Johnny has none. Come on, bro. I cannot believe that we got this far. Dude, it's crazy that they only had 4 sessions, but they still brought in the couples therapist.
What difficulty was Mr. Depp having in the sessions?
Having a voice.
Oh.
What do you mean by that?
Ms. Heard had a jackhammer style of talking. She was very amped up. He had trouble talking at a similar pace. Their dialogue, he was cut off a lot.
When somebody, in this case, an abusive partner, has a goal to get you to do something that they want, and they clearly identify that goal, like I want you to do what I say. I want you to come to this event with me. It's very easy for them to rapid fire say things or you know, ask questions or do things because the goal is right there and I need you to go over here, and they will twist and turn and manipulate you and yell at you any direction to get towards that goal. But on the other hand, if you're the other partner that doesn't have a goal in mind, that is trying to understand and articulate their feelings, you can be very slow spoken because you need to think about what you're feeling. You need to feel it, you need to identify it, and you need to articulate it. Another thing you have to do is articulate it in a way that you know your partner will understand.
In working with Amber and Mr. Depp, did Amber ever report to you any physical violence? Do you recall seeing photos from Amber Heard?
I have, but I don't remember when I saw them.
What do you recall about the photos?
Her face was bruised.
Do you recall where on her face you saw, on Amber's face you saw bruises?
I think they were around her eyes, but I couldn't be positive.
Is it just me, or does the bruise keep changing?
There was violence from Mr. Depp toward Amber, correct?
Yes, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
He had been well controlled, I think, for almost, 20, 30 years. And both were victims of abuse in their homes. But I thought he had been well controlled for decades. And then with Ms. Heard, he was triggered, and
wow.
They engaged in what I saw as mutual abuse.
You guys have probably heard some of the testimony from like Johnny's sister and other sources that say that Amber was a lot like Johnny's abusive mother. And I really, 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 really hope that Johnny wins this trial, because it's gonna give such a sense of healing if Amber really is like his mom, because it's like he finally gets to win. In court, Johnny might lose this case, but he has absolutely won the public, and Amber's ruined. Amber Heard is ruined. There's no way. I don't see a comeback from this.
Sometimes,
I don't see it.
I know she led on more than one occasion and started it to keep him with her, because abandonment and having him leave was her worst nightmare. And I think he may have initiated it on occasions too. I'm less sure on.
This also makes a lot of sense too, and this came up in another trial. Amber clearly has a trigger for abandonment. She has an abandonment trigger. A lot of people have it. One in the chat if you've got an abandonment trigger. Let me go ahead and hit that one. Kate James even said in another thing that when Johnny Depp would go out of town, she would get very upset, scared, flustered. She would feel like, he's not here, like I'm freaking out. That is an abandonment trigger, right? Well, it seems like Johnny also has a trigger of being controlled because he had a controlling and abusive mother. So if Johnny's always exiting the conversation when Amber's upset because he's overwhelmed, it's called flooding, he's overwhelmed, then Amber gets upset and feels abandoned, there's the problem. Two people cannot resolve that issue by themselves. There's no way. This is your past, your childhood trauma coming up. Johnny doesn't want to be controlled, and Amber doesn't want to be abandoned. So when Johnny tries to leave and Amber pulls him back in, he feels controlled. She feels like she's at risk of constantly being abandoned. This is a constant dynamic. This is a whirlwind. And if you don't spot that, it's just trigger after trigger into explosive argument after explosive argument.
Two things. It was a point of pride to her if she felt disrespected to initiate a fight, and was her father had beaten her, she was not going to. And the second,
man, that's another one too. If it is true that Amber was physically abused by her father, it kind of makes sense that she would try to incite Johnny to physically abuse her so that she can repeat the story she's familiar with. Does that make sense to you guys? Sometimes instead of creating a new story for ourselves because it's too hard, we reenact our old one and try to force our environment to reenact it with us. It's kind of like when people hate themselves and they create that reality. They believe everyone hates them, and so they start doing things, and then people actually start to dislike them, and they're like, I knew it. I was unlovable all along. And it's like, well, that's not true.
She reported to me, which is if he was going to leave her to de-escalate from the fight, she would strike him to keep him there. She would rather be in a fight than have him leave.
Oh.
Did you speak to any other doctors?
She would rather be in a fight than have him leave.
Doctor, what professional degrees do you hold?
I have a couple of masters, a PhD, and a
Couple of
certified
masters.
clinical nutrition certification.
Would you mind please just elaborating on that for the record?
Yes, I have a master's from early in my life in teaching and curriculum. I have a master's in psych. I have a PhD in clinical psychology.
Okay.
I have a CCN, which is a certified clinical nutrition certification.
Are these your contemporaneous notes that you took of the couples therapy sessions?
Here we go.
Yes.
Laurel had more sessions with Amber than Johnny, and Amber probably thought that she was like bonding with the therapist or getting to like tell her side first. But clearly from that jackhammer comment, Laurel doesn't care too much for Amber Heard.
What is the significance of October 1, 2015?
I'm going to look at what I'm reading so that this makes sense to you. This can't possibly make sense, but it makes sense to me.
Okay.
They reported what they said to one another. So the first line is Ms. Heard talking, saying that Mr. Depp says to her, "No one likes you. You're getting fame from me. I'm falling out of love with you. You're a whore." She's reporting just in the first session just how bad the relationship is, just how mean they are to one another. And at that point, because I'm typing quickly as they go along, I'm switching into a different voice, more about the process between them, where she has, I believe, interrupted him. He says no more about what she says about him. And it's just that they're fighting and she has a hard time. She bites the bait. She can't let him talk, is my recollection. And from this, that's kind of what that is. So it gives me a sense of what they're doing at home. They're each reporting. This is what we say to each other.
She's obsessed with being in control. It's not just her having power. You can have power and sit in a boardroom with people, but Amber has to be the one in control calling the shots. Otherwise, you have crossed her and you will be punished. That's her whole MO, bro.
Is it fair to say that Ms. Heard was saying that Johnny said to her, "No one likes you. You're getting fame from me. I'm falling out of love with you, whore"? That would have come from Mr. Depp. Is that correct?
Ms. Heard reported that that's what Mr. Depp said to her at their worst.
Wait, at their worst? Okay, the whore part, okay, I get that. But Johnny literally says, "I'm falling out of love with you." Not, "I'm gonna fucking kill you." It's like, I am falling out of love with you. I mean, hey, bro, we gonna find out when these James Franco and Elon Musk testimonies come out if she was cheating.
At any point during the first session, did Ms. Heard interrupt Mr. Depp when he was trying to talk?
Yes. She talked over him. She
about interrupted him when he asked that, bro.
Did she interrupt him during your other sessions that are reflected in Plaintiff's Exhibit 2?
Yes, and I pointed out the process to her at some point, and she got it, that no one could actually have a decent dialogue with her if she was rapid firing and talking over and just barraging. It was a process issue.
Oh my God.
You write, doesn't answer directly when he asks her a question.
Oh my God. That's the typical narcissist thing. You remember how I tell you guys always when you're dealing with these motherfuckers, ask them the same question over and over and over and over again, because they will try to get you talking so they can latch on to something else, right? So Johnny asks her direct questions, and then she starts talking and probably blaming and going this way and going that way and going this way. But what you do is you bring them right back to the core question. But then if Amber doesn't want to answer that question, all she has to do is start taunting Johnny because it triggers him. And then she basically gets her way. She doesn't have to answer the question. He's forgotten about it because he's too upset with whatever she just did.
You see the notation to October 6, 2015?
Yes.
Was that the second couples session?
No, it's red. It's Amber alone.
So is it fair to say that you met with Amber for 2 1/3 hours in the context of the couples therapy? Is that correct?
Yes, this was to get her background material.
So tell us what you mean in that one section. He hits her, no closed fist. She hits back and now starts it for pride because
Father.
hit her. Would you please tell us what you meant by that?
Oh my God, her excuse. So what Amber is saying happened. She says that Johnny hit her first. And then because he hit her, she hits him back because she has too much pride now, and she's an adult woman now, and her dad used to hit her, so she hits him back now. That is not how you grow from that situation. The way you grow from abuse is not by becoming like your abuser. Are you kidding me? That's what she said. Oh, in order to take my pride back, I hit him back. If you went back in time, I'm sure you would want to hit your dad, sure, but that's not how you grow as a person. So her excuse is ridiculous. And also, I think she was the instigator. I don't think he's hit her, and I definitely don't think that he's hit her first.
A lot of things trigger her. And if she's triggered, she would hit him first.
I talked about this in that controlling your emotions video, where basically you have to identify what your triggers are, because if you don't know, you will spiral out of control. I honestly bet you that if Amber knew what her triggers were, she'd still be a piece of shit, but it wouldn't have gotten this far.
When you said that she sometimes hits Johnny first because of pride, what did you mean?
So dumb.
She was sensitive to feeling disrespected. And a number of other
Being
things,
disrespected can be a trigger for
and
you.
so, and if she felt disrespected,
And actually, let me ask you guys that too. 1 in the chat, if being disrespected is a trigger for you. 2 in the chat, if being disrespected is a trigger for you, but you didn't realize it until right now. It's so funny, dude. Like, think about if you knew everything that spins you out of control, and all you have to do is write it down on a piece of paper. That's a fucking superpower. And like, everybody has triggers. Like, I have learned this. Everybody has triggers. They can be small. It could be colors. It could be sounds. It could be even the way, if somebody looks similar to a person you hate. Everyone has little triggers, and you have to identify them. You will be so much better.
she had come out of her background history feeling that her pride needed to dominate, and she needed to stand up for herself.
Yeah.
When
Okay. Wow.
Ms. Heard told you that
Interesting.
Johnny
That's what
Depp
she did
hits
with
her
these accusations.
Or slaps her. Johnny Depp was not present, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And it wasn't plural. It was, she referred to, well, I wrote he hits her. Yes. So maybe it was plural.
But he was not present when she made that assertion.
He was not.
She started telling people a long time ago he was hitting her. She was setting up.
Yes. She was describing kind of the progression of the physical violence.
Did you have any understanding of what she meant when she admitted that she socks Mr. Depp?
Yes, because
She sucks.
there were 3
You guys, I just realized Johnny's team is definitely going to ask about the poop. They are going to grill her on the stand about the poop, and she's not going to be able to do anything. What if she cries? Like, what if she cries and everyone feels bad for her? That's like the only thing Amber could do. They are going to grill her about that turd for sure. Yes, Amber
but
will be taking the
to
stand.
clarify something earlier on the ledger,
Yes.
I
This
wrote
is a
2 hours
5 or 6 week
coupled
trial.
on Amber. It means he is the one who walked out of that session.
My question was, am I correct that all of your notes for the October 14th, 2015 couples session for 3 hours are completely redacted? Is that true?
Yes.
So, so the next session occurred on October 21, 2015, true?
True.
And it lasted 2 hours. It started as a couple, then Mr. Depp left, and then you spoke only with Amber, but in the context of couples therapy. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and let's go to the next session on page 10. The next session was on October 24th,
Sorry,
2015. And I can't see from the code, was that a couples therapy, or was it just one or the other of them attending?
No. This is a red phone session with Ms. Heard.
Oh,
Okay,
emergency phone
And
session.
it lasted 1.5 hours.
Red
Yes.
phone session.
So the next session after that was on October 29th, 2015. Is that right?
Yes.
And
That one was canceled.
Oh, it was canceled. That's why it's so short. Okay. And then the one after that, still on page 10, was on November 12th, 2015.
There's an appointment on 11/4 that was canceled that I didn't put an entry on.
Okay. Well, that's helpful. What about November 12th? Was
Yes.
that a joint session?
Yes, it was.
And was that in person?
Yes.
Okay. And then the
He's
next.
like, okay.
They cancel instead of coming in because they know coming in will get them into conflict.
Oh.
Okay. And
Oh. One in the chat if you think that she's on Johnny's side. 2 in the chat if you think she's on Amber's side. She got a lot of FaceTime or ear time with Amber. I'm gonna have to say that I'm a 1 because the jackhammer comment was too raw, bro.
and you write, then last night, Monday, she slapped him as he sat there talking incoherently. Who slapped who?
What?
I actually know what happened.
Did she witness it? Did she
What
witness
happened?
this?
This was, as I said, Ms. Heard talking on the phone to me. Mr. Depp's mother was in ICU. We had
Okay.
been doing he was fucked up, as she would say, on a lot of drugs. And she slapped him because he was being incoherent and talking about being with another woman.
So she slapped him. We have a witness. Is this the first witness?
Did she tell you that he had hit her first, or was she the one who initiated the slap?
She initiated that one because I think she felt demeaned and threatened.
And this
So
is
she
what
slapped?
she.
It's also wild to me that they married, I believe, in February of 2015, and the divorce happened August 2016. They married in February, and Amber was already going around telling people he hits me by November. Of course, this is why she claimed she was going to donate the money to charity, because people are going to assume that she just used him for casting roles. He even said it. How do you think she got Aquaman?
Should she call police? What does that refer to? So what did you mean?
That was her asking me.
Did you respond to her?
I believe I did.
Then you write, doesn't want to divorce, wants to want to divorce.
Yes.
What did you mean by that?
She loved him. He loved her. She believed that she wasn't stupid. She knew that what they were doing wasn't healthy. And so she wanted to
But she didn't know how to
divorce him,
stop.
but she didn't. And
She
yet
didn't know how to stop, so
it
she
had
blamed
escalated to
him.
this point.
Directing your attention to the last
Really
snippet
rocky.
from that session, will she have advantage if she leaves him but files with police for abuse first? Was that a question that she asked you?
Yes, this was her talking out loud, trying to strategize for herself.
Oh my god! Did y'all see any clips of the couples therapist on socials? I didn't. This woman's got the tea. She got it in 4 sessions. Also, she's been looking at couples and their dynamics for 30 or 40 years, she said. This woman can identify the abuser in the relationship like that. And to me, it sounds like she already has. Dude, if I ever see this lady in LA, I'm gonna
Miss Bird.
fangirl so hard.
She initiated fights. She started violence. She
Oh, she
rose
gave
to the
what she
challenge
got.
if he started first, and so she, in my opinion, that had been established throughout the relationship, that she fought as hard as he did, and he tried to de-escalate far more than I think she did.
Do you know, did Mr. Depp talk about his fingertip with you before June 18th, 2016?
No, because I would have written it when he first mentioned it to me.
He never
Did you
told
ever see
her.
Mr. Depp with an injury?
That is so in line with what abuse victims do. They protect their abuser because they have this hope that one day they'll change, and they don't want everyone to know all of the horrible things that they've done.
The incidents where Amber described Mr. Depp being violent, Mr. Depp was not present, correct?
That's true.
That's how they end
Thank
it.
you.
In the situations where Miss Heard describes Mr. Depp being violent, he was not present. That is true. Wow. Okay, we're not done yet, guys.
Here comes a new challenger.
This psychologist did a 500 questionnaire on Amber Heard, like a psychological examination. She did a 25-page report on her. The results, I was gonna say, are shocking because it's like, whoa, but then it's like, no, we knew she was like this. I actually have no doubt that Amber has some complex PTSD, but like, bro, go work on your stuff. Essentially, every single person is in this courtroom right now. This judge is here. We are in this chat. Everyone has circled around Amber. This is all Amber's mental health issues coming to light, and she's dragged everyone into them. That's what it is.
Administer the MMPI-2 to Ms. Heard.
I provided her the test on an iPad. She essentially had her own little desk area and then an iPad. She hits start, it provides her with the instructions, and then it gives her 567 statements in order.
567 questions.
What did you learn about Ms. Heard from the results of the MMPI?
So this is what I wanted to share with you, okay?
Quite a bit. I wrote up a 25-page interpretation outline. It has numerous scales. So one of the reasons I like this measure so much is that it can tell you so much about multiple different traits and tendencies.
Amber thought she was just going to trick the test.
One of the primary things I learned was that she had a very sophisticated way of minimizing any personal problems. I also learned that she tends to, there were a number of characteristics that were consistent with the eventual diagnoses, but some of the primary characteristics, and I'm going to try to condense 25 pages here.
Go for it, sister.
Were essentially externalization of blame.
Nothing is her fault.
Tending to have a lot of inner hostility that is attempted to be controlled.
Angry at everyone.
A tendency to be very self-righteous, but to also deny that self-righteousness and to judge others.
The narcissist is fueled by pride. They sit on this moral high ground that's so high, they refuse to look at their own flaws, and they just cling to whatever moral thing they think is going to help them win the fight at the moment and refuse to look at their own actions while pushing you over and over and over again.
Against these sort of high standards for moral value, but also to deny doing that. Essentially to claim that one is very non-judgmental and accepting and yet very full of rage, really. And these aren't facts, but her scores essentially correlated, so they were consistent with other people who obtained these scores who have been shown through many studies to have these very specific traits.
What she's saying is, even though Amber took this one test, granted it was almost 600 questions, they've done this test multiple times over the years, and very hostile people that took multiple other types of tests showed similar results to Amber's one test.
They tend to be very passive aggressive. They may be self-indulgent, very self-centered. They could use manipulation tactics to try to get their needs met, very needy of attention, acceptance, approval.
Dude, this is so true. Attention, acceptance, approval. You know, she did a lot of different things for attention. So many things for attention. When Johnny would try to leave, his fight or flight got activated. He would try to escape. Amber couldn't handle that, so she would pick fights so that she would get more attention from her partner. She also got incredibly angry when people didn't 100% take her side after she made the allegations.
Initially, they may seem very charming. They're very socially sophisticated.
She was taking his boots off and bringing him a glass of wine every day that he got home. Incredibly charming. Johnny Depp was in a relationship with a woman named Vanessa Paradis for about 14 years. He even did interviews in 2010 where he was like, you know, I love my partner, waking up with her every day. or having wine in the backyard while watching the kids is a dream, da-da-da-da-da. He seemed to be very in love with her, but maybe it was just press. Well, those interviews were in 2010. By 2011, he started working on set with Miss Amber Heard, and by 2012, he had divorced his wife. Just a little tidbit of information for you. You can do with it what you will.
Some of their faults, but in a way, but only the ones that people think of lightly and can all relate to. And so they can present as very fair and balanced, but in actuality, they really might be very judgmental of others and unaware of problems in their behavior and their thinking.
Choosing to be unaware of their problems.
What's a code type?
A code type, let me think of how to explain this very, very simply. So the main scales, and I keep referring to scales, these are just the main scores that come up on this test. We can refer to them as codes. And when I was saying that Ms. Heard's scores could be compared to certain groups of people that had been researched before to obtain similar scores, the research has shown that certain people will have certain scores that kind of spike on this, okay? And so all of those traits that I was describing, those are traits that are found in these code types. So it means that score number two was high, and score number
all right,
6
she about to spit again. I saw this part too.
So if we have those two scores were both high, then that's a 2-6 code type. And these code types...
What code type was Ms. Heard?
Ms. Heard had the clearest code type was 3-6.
The clearest!
But then she also had
she said clear as day.
Other code types that were less significant.
What characteristics are associated with a 3-6 code type?
So a 3-6 code type, a lot of that anger is expressed in this code type. There can be actually a lot of cruelty, usually with people who are less powerful.
Oh, she really slid that one in there. I ain't mad at it though. Throw it again. Lob us a little ball.
With subordinates, co-workers, people who may have observed their behavior more closely. The 3-6 code type is very concerned with their image, very attention-seeking, very prone to externalizing blame to a point where it's unclear whether they can even admit to themselves that they do have responsibility in certain areas. A lot of suppressed.
I mean, what is this? This is just a typical narcissist. This is so funny. Bro, I was built for this case. I've been popping off about these pieces of shit for God knows how long now and doing court stuff. And you gonna put a tasty little narcissist in the hot seat for me? Put her on the stand. Yo, I can't wait. Counting down until Amber Heard is on the stand.
How does Ms. Heard's code type fit in with your overall opinion as to personality disorders?
Well, this might be an appropriate time to describe a little bit about these personality disorders, because I think what you'll hear is that there's a lot of consistency there. So borderline personality.
This is what I mean. Like, borderline. Look, you can have borderline, you can have bipolar, you can have PTSD, but don't drag people's families into the courtroom over your unresolved mental health issues. Don't drag the world into the courtroom. I get this. If your childhood was incredibly unstable, you had periods of getting love, then long periods of no love. Certain family members were coming and going. You felt neglected. Maybe you were moving a lot or something like that. When you were raised in that instability, later in life, in your teen years, your early adult years, you will replicate that instability because it's what you know. You're always looking for the next downfall, the next bad time. You're always trying to brace yourself for it. Maybe you're a person that had a really unstable upbringing and you don't even let yourself get excited sometimes because you don't want to be let down, you know? So I get it if Amber had that really, really unstable upbringing, but if yours is this unstable, you have to make it a goal to crave stability in your life. And you also have to make it a goal to want and appreciate the stability, because people that are used to the highs and lows of life, the up and downs, they actually get used to that thrill ride. They enjoy that thrill ride. So when they're on a path to stability, they're like, this feels weird. I don't like this. I don't want this. And then they destroy it because it's what they're used to. There's a lot of people like that. I was that person. I'm still coming out of being that person. So it's okay, but you have to tell yourself, I don't want to do that anymore. I deserve stability. This is a happier life. I'm ready to rewrite my story. Sorry, I'm getting all self-help on y'all, but don't let this happen to you.
In their sense of self and their identity. And that instability is really driven by this underlying terror of abandonment.
I called this out last night. I called it last night.
All of it is like pistons of an engine kind of firing off and igniting one another. But when somebody is afraid of being abandoned by their partner or by anybody else in their environment and they have this disorder, they'll make desperate attempts to prevent that from happening.
I called this out. Half of this stuff is spurred by Amber's let me be clear. Not her abandonment issues, her out of control abandonment issues. How embarrassing. She spent so much time trying to externally control her world. She's a person that lives in the external. She blames externally, and she tries to control her external rather than controlling her internal. How embarrassing. It is the one thing that you have 100% control over with little to no effort.
And those desperate attempts could be physical aggression, it could be threatening, it could be harming themselves.
Y'all know I'm getting mad.
Behaviors that are usually very extreme and very concerning to the people around them. The anger is typically sadly, it's counteractive, right? So the thing these people fear most is being abandoned, but over time, the anger, the explosive anger that they show when somebody is needing space or when somebody's really not doing anything wrong, because a lot of times they read into things that they perceive as being a slight to them.
Yeah, a perceived slight, bro.
Isn't happening. They'll exaggerate it, and they'll explode. Oftentimes, their partners will try to make them happy at first and really allow themselves to be a punching
and then
bag,
give up,
thinking that they can somehow solve this problem, that somehow they can make this better, and eventually it just overwhelms them. Histrionic personality disorder is very
Before
similar.
we move on to that,
Okay.
Are you familiar with the term emotional reactivity?
I am.
What is that?
So
give us a
emotional
little breakdown.
reactivity is very common in the diagnosis. So essentially, like I said, there's instability in emotions. People with borderline personality disorder are often misdiagnosed as having bipolar disorder because they can be up and down. They can look very depressed, then they can look very elated, but these changes are happening within a matter of hours. Somebody with bipolar disorder, this is a clinical depression lasting days, weeks, a clinical mania where sometimes they even need to be hospitalized because they're so grandiose. They clear out their bank account and go to Vegas and spend it all. They're acting in some very bizarre ways. You're offended or slighted if the therapist comes in 2 minutes late, or if somebody shows up to dinner 2 minutes late, that they might be abandoning you. And it's not as if the borderline is considering themselves abandoned.
She's right. So Johnny Depp shows up 5 minutes late to this dinner. Apparently that birthday dinner was the explosion of it, right? Every minute that he's not there after 5 o'clock, Amber's saying, is he coming? By minute 2, he's not going to get here. By minute 3, I should have known he wasn't going to come here. This is a way for Amber to protect herself so that she's not let down. But then it spirals out of control because the next minute is, fuck him. Then after that, it's, well, maybe he'll come here. And then it's, no, I knew he wasn't going to come. I mean, every single minute she's spiraling and spiraling and spiraling. And she can't stop herself. It's like she doesn't have that extra voice in her head to say, no, he loves you. Here's the other thing too, and I'm not saying this in Amber's defense, but I'm saying this as example. She doesn't know how. She does not know how. She has never tried. I don't even think that she has considered changing her behavior to better her life as a possibility. I'm going to say that one more time for whoever needs to hear it. I don't think she ever considered the possibility of changing her behavior to better her own life. Trust me, I've said that to myself before, and now I'm saying it to you.
If they're in the middle of the restaurant and they feel offended, they're going to start the fight. People are going to see it. or they might just start crying or break down, but they'll make a lot of accusations, and that reactivity is when you're gonna see a lot of this escalation in the bizarre behavior. They can react violently, they can react aggressively, they will often physically prevent their partner from trying to leave if their partner wants to get space from all of this intense emotion, and oftentimes they will be abusive to their partners in these situations. Sometimes they'll physically restrain them from leaving and become injured that way, but also people with borderline personality disorder.
She straight up said she got borderline.
Factor for women who implement violence against their partner. And one of the most common tactics that they'll use is actually physically assaulting and then getting harmed themselves. But mostly we call
physically assaulting and then getting harmed themselves. She must create the external situation. There's no internal compass here with Amber Heard. There's none at all. She's entirely reactive to her environment, but she also creates situations in her environment to react off of. This is so embarrassing.
Make threats using the legal system. So they might say that they are going to file a restraining order or claim abuse, or they might do these things to essentially try to keep their partner from leaving. In the moment, again, they're not consciously thinking, I'm going to keep my partner from leaving right now. They're just thinking, I can't stand this. I hate my partner. They went from idealizing to suddenly devaluing.
Black and white. Oh yeah, isn't there one with Amber's reaction? Wait, let me see if I can find that one. Man, they spitting, bro. They really spitting on this. You know what I started to think? I think Amber is writing so much, or like she was eating in the defamation trial, because she doesn't know how to act. She doesn't know what facial expression is appropriate for this. Like, there's no amount of training that can prepare you for what people are going to say about you on the stand, right? She can't control these emotions as they come up, so she channels some of that energy into doing an activity like writing, because it takes away the focus from her face and she doesn't have to stress about that as much. That's what I think could be happening.
What occurs is that reality sets in.
Because she really be writing a lot.
Even when we have a lot in common with them. Whereas most
distracting
of us
herself,
can accept somebody as a whole, somebody who has a little bit of flaws, and still think this is my great friend who always constantly running late for dinner. The person with borderline personality disorder, things are in these extremes, this black and white, we call it splitting. And so that person goes from being idealized, the perfect person, to dumpster. They are totally devalued. They are the worst friend. They don't care anything about me. I have better people around. And then there will be
Amber can't
the person
even.
with this disorder does feel remorseful after they have these
Amber,
reactions.
look what you did. You know what's really, really, really sad that I think nobody's really talked about? So the flow of events basically went, Amber made these accusations. Johnny lost jobs. He lost friends. He lost co-workers that he had known for years. People turned their back on him. Then he took her to trial in the UK, and all of this venomous information came out. And it was all locked away in the courts, and no one really knew, you know? And then he lost the case. If Johnny Depp didn't have the resources to go to trial again the second time, I wonder if he would still be with us. I mean, they say that he was abusing a lot of substances and drinking a lot. Would Johnny Depp have just gone into a hole and into a drinking binge and just given up and, you know, passed away one day, and we would have thought like, oh, you know, he was an abuser, he died, not knowing all of this? Like, that is so fucking sad. And the only reason that we know all of this is because he fought for himself and for his kids. He did not, for once, he finally stood up to Amber Heard. I don't think he stood up to her through their entire relationship, and now he is finally standing up to her. And I think the other thing, too, that's interesting is he's facing all of his fears at once. Johnny Depp doesn't really do interviews. He's a very, very introverted person. If you look online, you'll see a few interviews over the years, but nothing comparable to his colleagues that have been around for 20 or 30 years. He's a private person. And so for him to go to court and air out all of this for the sake of justice, I'm a Johnny fan.
When I was describing personality earlier, I was talking a little bit about those traits we have that help us know.
Why does she look so mad? Is she looking at Johnny? Look at this snarl, bro.
Travels toward identity. when I was describing personality earlier, I was talking a little bit about those traits we have that
Ew,
help us know who.
In addition to borderline personality disorder, I understand that you diagnosed another personality disorder. What's that?
Histrionic.
So histrionic personality disorder, and these
Little
are
drama
really
queen.
two sides of the same coin. They belong to the same cluster. We call these clusters. It's a way to.
Dude, okay. One thing that I would advise everyone to do, because we're in the era of people diagnosing their mental health online, it kind of started 10 years ago, and now we're real heavy into it. If you actually genuinely believe that you have one of these personality disorders, borderline, histrionic, bipolar, or something like that, do not read about that disorder and then decide to take that disorder on as your identity. You should be reading about that disorder and using that information as a roadmap to get even better. I know not everything can just go away, obviously, but you can work on it. You can work on every single one of these things, whether it's trying multiple medications to get to the right one, going to EMDR for your past traumas, or just going to therapy every week so you can talk to somebody. Don't be goofy. Do not go out here being goofy.
Goofy gonna start talking about me. He's gonna come outside.
And when they feel that they're not the center of attention, you will see some strange
You will
things,
suffer.
making up stories to try to get attention, often taking on.
Oh my God!
The moment your attention wears away because they're so demanding for attention, that's when they might take the victim role or the princess role and even make
The
up stories.
victim or
Sometimes
princess
those stories
role.
are to bolster the victim role. Sometimes those stories are just to make them look more interesting or accomplished in their mind so that they can get respect and attention that way.
That's probably one of the most disgusting things that I've heard through this whole case. Getting respect by falsifying a story. Respect is earned. It is truly earned. And that's why she never got respect. She didn't earn it.